Hello and welcome everyone to the fifth official episode of a Better Magic podcast brought to you by Team Better Magic. This is your host Jared. I've got your co-host Jeremy here with me. Say hi, Jeremy.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. So we're here to bring you the fifth episode. We made it. We've survived through four. We know that by the time this gets published, we're actually going to be about 2 weeks late. We're sorry about that. Some really super exciting stuff has happened that we'll talk a little bit about today. But like I said, we're sorry for missing 2 weeks. We want to get on a regular schedule. So I had to make sure that I got that off my chest. Um, so what are we going to talk about this week, Jeremy? Do you want to talk about some pretty cool, exciting news? Do you want to talk about all the
Yeah,
cool stuff that happened?
super exciting.
Good, man. Yeah, there's a lot of crazy stuff that happened, man. So there's been a new From the Vaults announced. Are you excited for that?
Mm-hmm. We get Avison.
I know, man. I'm always
Well, I mean,
excited for those.
that's just speculation, but I'm pretty sure it's Avison.
Yeah,
Will be one of them.
it's definitely possible. I'm super excited for that. A pro tour happened while we were away, Jeremy.
It did happen.
Yeah,
We're a little bit late on it,
but that's
but
okay.
you know what? That's okay.
We can still excite you guys and talk about cool stuff and hopefully what we've learned from it going forward. You and I and a bunch of Team Better Magic played in a pre-pro tour qualifier.
And it did not go very well.
Yeah, it wasn't the best, but some of our buddies did pretty well, so it was a good learning experience.
Yep.
Um, I've been drafting a lot of Fate Reforged, man, and the one thing I can tell you is that I don't really like it.
I'm going to tell you right now, I don't draft it that much because I'm playing Standard.
Fair enough.
Black, white warriors all the way, baby.
Yeah, man, we'll talk a little bit about some of the finance picks that we think are the most relevant um, right now, especially since the metagame is really shaping up in Standard. Then we'll talk about kind of what was going on at the Pro Tour, what we liked, what we didn't like, how we're going to be playing Modern going forward. And I'm going to let Jeremy just kind of get loose on what's going on in the Standard meta. But, okay, but that's kind of the docket. So are you ready to rock and roll, man?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay, so what do you think about the announcement of this year's From the Vaults? Like, how do you feel about From the Vaults as a product in general?
I like them. I mean, but it also just depends on what from the vault it is.
Mhm.
Like, if you think about this, the most expensive angel that you're probably going to get out of this is Avison. I mean, and maybe Baneslayer.
That's a good choice. So, for those of you listening who might not know, because it's kind of a specialty product, every year for the last maybe 8 years now. Now it's probably like 6 years. They've released Wizards of the Coast, who makes Magic the Gathering, releases a very limited print run of specialty cards that come in foil versions that often have new artwork, and they come packaged all together in one kind of buy it once set of cards. They're all foiled out. They're all premium. They have they're almost different like thickness. Like they're printed a little bit different. Your local store can get them. They don't have to. If they do, they get a very limited amount of them. They also usually have these at Gen Con. I know they didn't last year, but they often do. And they usually adhere to some sort of theme. In the past, we've seen a bunch of the best lands in Magic's history, which was From the Vault's Realms, right?
Yep.
We had relics, which were some of the best artifacts ever in Magic's history. And they're cool because, like I said, they often get new artwork. And they get super foiled out and super premium versions. So the one for 2015 is called From the Vault's Angels. So, I mean, obviously right off the bat, we know that we're going to be getting between 15 and 20 premium angels in awesome foil versions, which I know, those of you who listen to the podcast or know us in real life, I'm not a big casual Magic fan. Like, I don't get it. I don't play Magic for those reasons, but 99% of the people who do play Magic play it because they love casting giant angels and big demons and big dragons. So this is going to be pretty big news for Wizards and for people who want to collect these cards for things like EDH or maybe just their kitchen table decks, and they want really cool looking versions of cool angels. I don't know.
Can I throw in a pun really quick?
Go for it.
You know how it's called From the Vault?
Yes.
Avacyn came from the Hell Vault.
Oh no! It's Fate Reforged. Avacyn comes out of the vaults. Nice. I
Yeah,
mean, from the
man.
vaults.
Yeah.
It's gonna be.
I feel like you ruined it, but we'll just continue on.
I did ruin it. No, it's gonna be really exciting. So yeah, so we can. I mean, why wouldn't we expect Avacyn to be in this, right? Like she's the most popular angel pretty much of all time. Her casual. No, it's
Yeah.
true. Like her price bears it out, man.
No, I
Like
mean,
if you
like,
go.
I'm not saying, like, okay, I mean, the number one angel is Acroma, but, I mean, Avacyn will be number two.
It's a different. Now, see, I'll argue you on this one because I think they're different groups, different generations
Okay, I
of
mean, yeah, I
Magic
can get you
players.
on the generation gap of them,
Yeah.
yes. Like, earlier people know Avacyn,
Or you mean
whereas
Acroma?
people, no, oh yeah, that's what I meant, yeah.
Yeah.
No, like, okay, yeah,
More
I
recent
said that
players.
wrong. More recent players know Avacyn,
Yeah.
whereas people who've been playing for a long time know Acroma.
Yeah. Like when I first really started getting back into Magic was around Onslaught, and like Acroma, that was my girl, man. You know, like Acroma was like the angel. Like that was the only one there was. Before that, there was Rhea, Dawnbringer. She was a pretty big deal. There was like Sarah Sanctum from Urza's Saga, and like all the angels that went along with that, which was pretty cool. Um, but yeah, so Acroma, was that was my angel, and now all of these people are playing who've been playing it for the last 3 or 4 years, where Magic has seen this gigantic boom in playership. I mean, we're talking a tenfold um, I- increase in the player population, and all those people, were cracking boxes of Avacyn Restored, hoping to get Avacyn, the Angel of Hope, because she's awesome.
I
And
want a Brand.
yeah,
Demons
and
all day.
well, of course, Grizzleman's fantastic too. But if you look at the foil price even, and when we're talking about like the supply versus demand, there's a lot more Avacyn Restored printed than there ever was of Onslaught or Legions for
I
that
don't know
matter.
why. In my opinion, that set was poo-poo other than Avacyn and
Sure,
Gristlebrand.
but they still needed to print a ton because, like I said, so many people
Oh,
like
and Creative Behemoth.
we're playing Magic, right? So if we look at the foil price though of like the Acroma from Legions, she's like $27, right? So when we're talking about straight up popularity, the foil version of Avacyn, right, is $90.
It's ridiculous.
So I mean, that's just how it is. So there's more because more people are in the player population than ever before. More of those people know Avacyn than know Acroma, so there's a higher demand, and thus the price is higher because the supply is relatively the same as it was for Acroma. But anyways, so what that tells me is, yeah, this from the vaults they also print as a way to as a little bit of a pressure valve on the price of some casual cards, which leads me to believe that Avacyn will probably definitely be in there in a foil version.
I believe it'll be Avacyn plus the other three angels that accompanied her in that
Sure.
set. So Bruna, Sigarda, and Gisela.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's what, 4 angels, probably between 15 and 20 cards total. So yeah, and it gives us room for like Baneslayer, gives us room for Acroma, both Acromas maybe.
I
I don't
don't
know.
think I don't. In my opinion, I do not believe Acroma will be in it.
Really?
Yeah, I just like we said earlier, it's like it's a different generation of
Yeah.
Magic players, and they're just, I mean, like, obviously if they haven't heard of Chroma now, I'm just like,
Yeah.
get out of my life. I don't know what to really say to you.
Probably what, Angel of Despair? Cards
Yeah, Angel of
insane.
Despair, I could see that one's
Yeah.
pretty good.
Card's fantastic.
One that I would like to see is Razia the Boros Archangel. I would love to
Razi is
see her
cool.
in there.
Yeah.
Or we can get Aurelia in there, just
We'll
like
probably just get Aurelia, yeah.
get my main Boros Archangels in there, and we'll just go to town.
Yeah, no doubt.
Ooh, Fire Main Angel as well.
Yeah,
That
that
could
one's
be
super
that.
good. Lightning Angel, one of the most famous of all time. Yeah. Cool. Well, I'm super excited for From the Vaults Angels. I just knew that was news and on the docket. I wanted to kind of pick your brain about it a little bit.
I like it.
I don't think there's going to be a ton of value outside of like Avacyn when it does hit, but if I can get it for like $30, I might get it. I don't know.
A Baneslayer.
Right.
Here's the opportunity of winning it for free at our shop, because that
That
happened.
is.
That's how I got From the Vault. Annihilation. Probably
Yeah, I
the
mean,
worst From the Vault.
Ask your friendly local game shop owner if they're getting any, and if they are, ask them if they'll do, hand them out as prizes. They don't have to sell them. It's probably better for your community if they don't sell them, right? Because only a few people are going to get there, and the people who just have the time in their day to go buy them are going to buy them, and that's not great.
You can also ask them to order it for you, and they'll
Right,
hold it for you,
right.
and you just
I
pay
would,
them.
right. I would suggest doing that if you want a bunch of really cool foil angels. So, okay, man. A pro tour happened,
It did happen.
and we missed it by a week.
I think it's 2 weeks.
Oh,
Right?
snap. Yeah, a pro tour happened. We missed it by 2 weeks, man.
Yeah, that's bad.
I know that's bad. We
And
apologize, but we'll bring you the cool news. I mean, like what I learned from the tournament is, and we're going to talk a little bit more in depth about this here in a second, but that the limited portion, like Favorite Forge Limited, so you draft a booster pack of Favorite Forge, and then cons is like super princely, right? And the people who are making it to the top tables, I mean, they just open bombs. I mean, there's really no two ways around it. Like, it's like you open your bomb, you draft your entire deck around it, and those were the guys of the Pro Tour who were going, 3-0 day one and day two in draft. Like, it was insane. But um, and then the modern portion happened, right? So that was cool. So we got a lot of the limited knowledge from those guys, and getting to see those guys play was really cool. And then we got to see the modern metagame kind of fleshed out um, in the wake of Wizards banning Treasure Cruise, Dig Through Time, and Birthing Pod. Like an entire deck just
sorry,
banned.
he's birthing pod.
Birthing Pod, man.
We're over here birthing up a storm.
Birthing up a Storm. Storm also a deck that was not at the Pro Tour that I saw, interestingly enough. I did expect to see some more Pyromancer Ascensions, but that did not happen. Um, but yeah, I mean, we'll talk more at the end of this about kind of the decks that we were looking at, but um, back to some of the classics, some stuff like Splinter Twin, just Splinter Twin combo, just getting there.
The worst.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a ton of new stuff going on in the format, which I don't necessarily like, but yeah, I don't know. It was cool to watch, and it's the highest level of Magic.
Well, they took
Um,
out the new stuff, so
right, yeah.
like
Um,
the only thing you still see that's like new is Monastery Swift Spear.
essentially, yeah.
The
So I mean, we saw
humble
saw a lot of
defector.
the yeah, Humble Defector, which they tried valiantly, but it didn't work. But no, we'll talk more about those actual decks here in a little bit. But like I said, we're sorry we missed it. There wasn't too much to report on though. Um, yeah, so that's that.
Splinter Twin won.
Splinter Twin one. I mean, there's really not much more to it than that.
It's like that's the equivalent of the Patriots winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean,
Yeah, nobody likes Splinter Twin
it's
except
around.
people who
It's
play
good.
Splinter
It's
Twin.
fine. It wins, but no one cares about it. Yeah, except for the people who play it. All right, man. Let's talk a little bit about this limited format.
Let's do that.
Oh wait, we played in a PPTQ, so that's how we can kind of kick this off. So a couple weekends ago, 3 or 4 weekends ago, we
Two,
two
because it
weekends
was the
ago.
same weekend as the Pro Tour.
Oh yeah, sweet. We played in at a local shop. We played in a pre-Pro Tour qualifier. So what Wizards has done, so they don't have to give out as many plane tickets, essentially, and they can keep the Pro Tours at a reasonable level as far as their logistics go, is they've implemented what they call pre-Pro Tour qualifiers. So what Pro Tour qualifiers were before is they were just large events that were open up to anyone, and anyone could jump in. And if you won, I think if you got first or second, you actually got an invite to the Pro Tour. So anybody, Joe Schmo off the street could come in had never played Magic before, and for whatever reason, based on variance, just won up all the way. It wouldn't be possible, really. It wouldn't be realistic, but that person could technically win an entire Pro Tour qualifier without any past experience and get an invite. And that happened every now and then, people just spiking who weren't that good and essentially wasting that invite. A lot of those people wouldn't even go to the Pro Tour, and it was a logistical nightmare for Wizards of the Coast. So their policy is now to have a qualifying event that qualifies you for the qualifier that gets you onto the Pro Tour. So we had the opportunity to play in a sealed PPTQ locally for Fate Reforged. So we sat down. We got 3 booster packs of Fate Reforged, 3 booster packs of Cons, and like in any uh, higher level event, we opened the booster packs, registered the entire pool, and basically waited to build our decks because we would pass the pool that we registered to someone else, and then our start building our pools. Um, and it was interesting to say the least.
It was.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get me wrong, I love sealed. I love draft more than sealed, but I do love limited in general. And I usually have fun building decks. But this format is so what people in the community like to call princely. So it's very weighted in favor of the rares in Fate Reforged. Like basically all the rares in Fate Reforged, more than 66% of them are just first pick bomb rares. You build your decks around them because they're gonna win you games on their own. And that really shines through in the sealed format where you get, 3 of those packs. So 3 opportunities to get insane bomb rares and just build your deck around them. Whereas other people who have weaker pools, might not have those rares, and when they go up against you, you're just favored to win. And or if you're the person with a weaker pool, aka me, because I had a very bad pool, you're an underdog. And going into those situations with that, sort of being under the gun like that, like not having that sort of advantage, it's just not very fun. Um, and I haven't had a ton of fun playing it, to be 100% honest. That PPTQ did not go so hot for me. I mean, I built like a really weird Timber deck that was a bit underpowered, didn't really have any bombs except for Crater's Claws, which I never saw. And I lost in the first 2 rounds, and I just dropped and watched my buddies play. But I don't know. How did you do, Jeremy? You did a little better than I did.
Yeah, I won 1 game and then lost 2 and then dropped.
Yeah.
I was like, yippee! I don't know. I mean, this limited format's okay. I mean, don't get me. I mean, like, it's all right. It's to the point of where like I'll still do it from time to time if I'm just like not feeling standard that day, or if I want to like just if like all of you guys are going to be drafting and I feel like, you know what, it'd be fun to drafts with all you guys, so I'll do that. But I don't know. It's like you said. It's just like really dependent on your rares. Like if you open a crap rare and then you're just like, oh well, there's a pick that goes by that it could have been something else that somebody else probably opened like a bomb,
Yeah.
and now I'm gonna pass them this like maybe support rare
Hmm.
into that bomb rare that they just opened. So, but you can't take that rare because it sucks so bad.
Yeah.
But at the PPTQ, I had like an Ash Cloud Phoenix, um, and then a Flame Rush Rider. The cute thing I did for the day was Ash Cloud Phoenix and then Flame Rush Rider, copy Ash Cloud Phoenix, and la la la. That happened, and I was just like, yay, I did this incredible thing for 1 game. Pretty
Nice.
sure I won that game, but then I ended up still losing the match because I lost to an Arcbon. I was just like, oh, well, that happens.
Yeah, Arcbon can blow you out, man. There's a bunch of underrated rares too, on top of the already like insane ones. Like it's just totally crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I've come to find out, like, as we've said, between, like, all of us, is, Citadel Siege is probably just, like, the biggest bomb.
Oh,
Like,
Citadel Siege is unbeatable.
you can
Yeah.
make, like, one guy, like, a powerhouse, and if they just don't have a removal for it, then you're just like, oh, well, yeah, this happens.
Yeah, even if you
Uh,
play a crappy morph, like it becomes a 4/4.
yep, just like, Typhoid Rats becomes a 3/3 death touch. You don't even have to swing with it.
Right.
You're just like, oh, it's a 3/3. Oh,
Right.
next turn, it's a 5/5.
Yeah.
Then I'll start swinging with it because it's a 5/5.
Right. Yeah, it just I don't know, man. The format's like that. That was the kind of talk of the town of the Pro Tour too. I mean, it really was. I don't think we're experiencing anything different than the people at the highest level of the game have experienced. And
No,
I
I
know
don't think so.
they're pretty down on it too. And I mean, I understand completely. I've drafted it a lot online, and I feel like when I get the bomb rares, I do pretty well. When I don't, I just get completely run over, and there's really no two ways around it, and it's just
Yeah,
kind of annoying.
it doesn't really help when you also have a Crucible of the Spirit Dragon in your pool. You're also just like, yeah, there's a wasted rare.
Yeah.
It's
Yep.
just like, I mean, like, like I said, like, and like you just pointed out, it all depends on the rares. I mean, I guess you could get that magical, like, I get all these bomb uncommons and like have a decent rare deck,
Yeah.
you know?
There are.
If you're drafting with like a blind person, sure.
You have a good point though. I mean, there are, on top of there being like 66% of the rares are just pack one pick one bombs. There are a lot of mythic uncommons too, right? I mean, those uncommons that on their own can just win a game. I mean, like Dragon Scale General is like insane. Like you pay
So
5 mana and you get a 4/5.
you're talking. I think you're talking about Elite Scale Guard.
Ah, Elite Scale Guard. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, Dragon Scale General's the rare.
Yeah, and he's not even as good. Like the other
No.
guy puts counters on creatures, and whenever you attack a creature with a +1/+1 counter attacks,
Yeah,
you can tap
they're
their dudes. Like,
inset.
yeah, it's
Bolster for how many creatures are tapped.
no, that's Dragon Scale General. I'm talking about
Oh, you're talking about okay,
the Elite
yeah.
Scale Guard is better because you can literally tap their field down and attack them and kill them. It's just insane.
Yeah, he's a blowout. And then you got obviously Timur Sabertooth, where
Yeah.
you've been seeing that in standard, and
Oh yeah.
it's also really good in limited. Channel Harm,
Yeah.
you can blow it. I mean, I don't know how many times I've blown people out with that card now.
Yeah. Card's insane, man.
Orc Sure Shot, I know you got
Yup.
blown out by that.
Sure Shot
on
is
Friday.
amazing. Oh my god, I love that card, dude. I really
Especially
do.
with Mardu Ascendancy, let's just throw that out there.
Yeah. Yeah,
And he's gonna make these goblins sure shot, ping, 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 ping,
yeah,
ping,
it's
ping.
it's impossible to win against that. But anyways, like it's okay. I'll be playing it some more. So if you guys watch our streams, like I'll be drafting it for a little while longer. But I don't really enjoy it, honestly. Um, I wish there was kind of more to say about the format. I hate talking about a format being kind of negative about it, but I mean there's just not really a lot to talk about for it.
Sometimes you get a bad format. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, hopefully, when we draft with dragons, so that's kind of the whole point of, if you guys don't know, the whole point of the Khans of Tarkir block in general is before they even add any of the flavor, any of the Sarkhanvol, any of the Tarkir, any of that stuff, the idea was, can we build a set where the middle small set pivots and gets drafted with a third large set? That was literally it. That's the only rule they had, and they went on from that point to create Khans of Tarkir and all the things that we know and love now. So I'm really excited to see how Fate Reforged, even though the rares are still really, really powerful, so it could be, that could be part of it. We could be running into something that's very similar to what we have now. But I want to see what happens when Dragons of Tarkir comes out and we draft Fate Reforged Dragons, and see if anything changes, man.
yeah. I mean, it's a large set.
Yeah.
I can't remember how many cards are supposed to be in it, but I mean, obviously, we've had the we've had we've had the speculation on that the clans will lose their third color and become just two, so Abzan would lose the black,
Right.
and they'd become green-white as to follow Dromaka. If you've read up on what's it called?
Oh crap! What is that called on Daily MTG?
Yeah, what's it called?
Uncharted Realms.
Yeah, there we go. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it kind of hints at it.
Right.
I mean, it also hints at it with Tasker, stuff like that. And then Alicia, you don't even see anything with that. She just, you smile at death. I like you. All right. She's like, I'm a boss, but I'm also a guy.
That's true too. But yeah, I mean, limited. It's. I mean, go into it. Draft. If I can tell you one thing, I told you last time. Draft enemy colors, and you'll be doing a little bit better. But I really can't give you any better advice than to just draft your rare and stick to it. Honestly, you'll do 9 times out of 10. You'll do best if you do that. So.
I'm going to go a little bit off docket here because I'm pretty sure we haven't talked about this yet. But at the Pro Tour, there was another release From the Vault Angels came out after the Pro Tour, but we also got a look at uh, MTG Origins.
Oh
The
yeah,
new
sure.
core
Yeah.
set.
Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. Yeah, it's a great
Yeah.
idea. Because I'm kind of getting bummed talking about how much I don't like this limited format. Let's talk about Origins, man. So what do we know? What do we know about it?
Well, obviously, from the pictures that we saw, it's gonna have five, or I mean, just from what we've heard, five of the the planeswalkers that you know are just like back from their it's their origin stories. So before their spark happened.
Right.
So you're gonna see like Jace before he was a planeswalker, Chandra, Lily, Gideon, and I'm believing the green one is Nissa. I think that's what everybody was saying. So I
Okay.
believe it's those five.
Yeah.
Um, how I'm speculating it is seeing how if they're gonna go back to like the origin stories, they can be like um seeing how you know how every color has a legendary creature for a core set.
Yeah.
The legendary creature for that color is them before their spark ignited, and then obviously they'll have the planeswalkers with them, and that's after their spark ignited. That's just me throwing that out there because I mean that'd be pretty cool in my opinion.
That'd be sweet,
Um,
dude. Yeah.
I mean you get to have both you get to have Jace as a Venser Shaper Savant and have that kind of thing where as Venser was a legendary creature and then he was a planeswalker. So I mean that'd be pretty cool with
Yeah.
to have that with all five of them, and then you also have Karn, Silver Golem, and Karn Liberated. Oh, and then Nicobolas and
Right.
Nicobolas Planeswalker. I
Right.
can keep going on, but yeah,
I know. I think
yeah.
that's all of them actually. Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. I think you actually named every single one.
Sweet.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I guess the other ones don't count though, right? Like Teferi,
I,
because
no,
it was kind of the other way around,
I
sort of.
believe that counts. I mean, there's still. I mean, it's like obviously flavor wise, it doesn't count. He's dead. So,
Yeah. Right.
um, but I mean, lore wise, he would have became a planeswalker if he didn't die.
Well, he was always a planeswalker, but you mean new planeswalker, like the new
Yeah,
ones.
yeah.
Because the old planeswalkers were essentially like omnipotent. They were like gods. And so what Wizards did, they were like, well, this is like really difficult to explain to like build their powers. Because if they're not just mages, if they're gods, like we can't put them onto cards because they'd be able to do anything. So what they did is in Time Spiral they killed off all the planeswalkers, the 1.0 versions, which were like omnipotent, and then everyone from then on in the multiverse, whenever you gained your spark, the only ability it granted you was the ability to jump between planes. Other than that, you were just like whatever the heck mage you were before. Like you just
Yeah.
had all the spells and powers that you had before you could jump between planes. Like,
I got a question for you.
yeah.
You say they're omnipotent, so would that make Arcanus the omnipotent?
No, that's a good question. So
Uh,
okay, it's from a Vorthos. Here we go. Here's a little Vorthos coming
you
out.
killed me on the pun, man. You
No,
didn't
it
let
was
it
good.
go.
It was good. I like that. But like he's as strong as like Niv Mizzet is just as powerful, if not way more powerful than any planeswalker. And he has tried his entire existence to become a planeswalker, and that's why he invented like the Izzet League, was to like learn the secrets of being a planeswalker, but he never learned how. The only thing being a planeswalker gives you is the ability to go to a different universe. That's the only thing it does. So like you could be any level of mage. So Arcanus is probably omnipotent as a mage in general, and is just as powerful as old school planeswalkers were when they were omnipotent. He just doesn't have the ability to jump between planes.
They broke my heart when they didn't make Niv Mizzet a planeswalker.
He can't. That's his whole story. Is that
I
he's
know.
trying to and he can't.
Ah, I was just and then they gave us Raw Zarek, and I was like, you made up for it. We're okay.
Yeah, Rel
We're,
Zarik's pretty cool. But no, so Origins, for those of you who don't know, Magic Origins will actually be the last core set. So about how long ago? I can actually look it up here. In August. So in last August, they revealed to us that Wizard of the Coast was getting rid of essentially the three block paradigm, or the three set paradigm within blocks. Um, so for every new block or theme that comes out, we are now only going to get two sets of Magic cards instead of three. And they're also getting rid of the core sets, which core sets were originally designed to be a beginner level project, or excuse me, a beginner level product for new players who wanted to get into Magic. But Wizards has done such a good job creating Magic cards or balancing them so they're not as crazy or difficult to understand, and they have a lot better beginner products that the core set is to them seems rather redundant. And so essentially the core set now is just them printing weaker cards than they otherwise would, and a whole heck of a lot of them for no real reason. So they kind of unanimously decided to discontinue that product. So Origins, instead of having a number like the last couple of ones, has been Magic 10 all the way through Magic 2015. Um, since this is the big kind of coup de grace, or the big finale, the penultimate core set, they just gave it a name, right? So just like Jeremy said, it's Magic Origins, um, and it's gonna hopefully they go out with a bang, man. Hopefully we get like all sorts of new cool versions of these planeswalkers. And hopefully just like you said, I'm with you 100%. I hope we get the like sweet legendary forms or versions of these planeswalkers before they were actual planeswalkers. Like that would be super sweet.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree with you. That I would like that.
but I think it's going to be awesome. And this is going to be the first and of course last core set where they introduce totally new mechanics. Because one of the things they did before was, they couldn't introduce new mechanics. They could only introduce the evergreen mechanics, the ones they use in every single set, so as not to confuse new players, essentially. Um, they could bring back older ones like in the last one they brought back the mechanic Convoke, but their thought was that people who had played with Convoke would still understand, or from that era would understand it wouldn't be that difficult to grasp. Um, but this new core set, this Magic Origins, is going to have new mechanics, and that's going to be super super exciting. I'm really looking forward to it. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it for sure. I just I want to see what they do with it and how they ended off with a bang.
me too, and they've got to do cool stuff, man. If they don't, I'm going to be so disappointed. And
I'm gonna
Wizards,
call. I'm gonna call right now.
yeah.
Birds of Paradise will be back.
Okay, you heard it here first on a Better Magic podcast. Birds of Paradise in Origins. I actually don't doubt that. I think that'd be really cool. Yeah, that'd be
I mean,
super sweet.
why not give us the best ramp card?
Yeah, and Birds isn't like broken. Like it's totally
No,
fine. I mean,
it's
we're
just
in a
it's a one less Sylvan Caryatid that can die.
yeah. Oh, exactly. Yeah, totally. It's not broken at all. I think that would be fan freaking tastic. Okay, buddy. So talking about good cards, let's talk about a little bit about Magic Finance. Kind of what we're buying, what we're selling, and what we're trading into right now.
Yeah, I'll let you start off with this one
All
because
right, man.
this is more of your type of thing.
Yeah, I do love myself some Magic Finance. So I was talking to our buddy Nick. You've heard him on the podcast before, and one of the cards we were talking a little bit back and forth about is a Nykthos Shrine to Nyx. So that we've seen a growth in popularity among these kind of devotion decks that are trying to make things happen in the standard metagame. And one of the decks that's actually working with that concept is kind of the green devotion, green ramp, even a little bit of a Timur Ascendancy combo deck. Uses Nykthos to great effect to gain like a bunch of green mana in particular. It just casts like ridiculous stuff. So Nykthos is seeing a bit of attention, seeing a bit of an uptick, and I think right now is a really good time to sell. I think it's gonna reach its ceiling here in about a week and a half. It's a good time to trade out of them or just sell them for cash. If you can get $3 for them, that's pretty darn good. They used to be like $8, $10, but nonetheless, now if you're not going to use them, just get out of them. People are going to be looking for them because they're going to want to try and test that deck. If you can trade them into more Eternal cards or trade them up um, on your way to getting some fetch lands, I highly recommend doing that. But that's kind of my pick, man, is sell your Nykthos. And kind of along with that, along the same lines, is you really need to consider right now, right at this moment, getting all your expensive Theros cards that you know are not going to be played in Modern, getting them together, seeing which ones are really look like they're at their peak, look like they're in the best decks they can be in, and sell them. If you're not playing with them, sell them. You know, get your money out of them while other people are trying to play them in decks before everyone rushes to sell them all right before rotation, and get your money's worth. I can't stress it enough. Like Theros is rotating out. 90% of those cards will not ever be played again. Sell them while they're worth money. You know, if that's a one thing you take away from this cast, it's that you need to absolutely be doing that sooner than later. Don't wait. You don't really have a month. You don't really have a month and a half. If Dragons comes out, it might spike one, maybe two cards that were already expensive, and that's not anything for you to lose sleep over. But I really don't expect seeing any more growth than that. So yeah, sell the stuff that's worth money that you're not playing now. I mean that's Magic in general, but this month and this month, next month and a half is the time to do it. So
I think getting rid of Elspeth if you're not playing her is probably the best card to get rid of just because
yeah,
of the dual deck coming out.
I agree with you 150%. I mean, sell your Elspeth, sell your Kiora, right? I mean, Kiora is not worth a ton, but
Ah,
if you're not playing with her, don't. I mean, sell her. Like,
I mean, yeah, if you're not playing with her, you can get rid of her.
yeah, like what are
I
you
mean,
doing with that, right?
I mean, I'm just saying that as an add-on to what you're saying.
Right.
You already know I'm not gonna do it, but I'll point that out for you.
Well, I mean, you're gonna. I know you collect them, so like, so people like, you know, if you're like Jeremy, you might keep one. Like, sure, fine, like, absolutely do that. That's why you play the game, is because you like the cards and you think they're cool. So keep them for sure. Um, but any of the ones that you're not gonna play with, or the, you know, the one that you're gonna collect or put in your cube or whatever, just sell them, man. Make your money. Because right now, Kiora is like $9 or like 750 TCG mid, right? So you can sell it for like $4, whatever. Like, get that cash money now before the card is worth like $2 or $1.50. I mean, just don't, you know, don't wait. Um, what about you, Jeremy? What are you doing with your cards right now? What cards are you looking to get
Um,
so you can mess around with?
the card I'm looking to get right now, I mean, people may be like, "What? You're an idiot. Get out of here." I'm into Warden of the First Tree right now, just
Cool.
because I mean you don't see him a lot,
Hmm.
and but at the same time, he's just still a good card if he's like put into the right deck. I feel like he can be a blow. He's just like too good of a card not to play in the long run. And who knows after what Theros leaves how good the
Yeah.
card's going to be because like there's obviously things that are going to leave and the guy can be played in a deck with Siege Rhino. Well, that's just not to be mistaken right there.
So we get another. That's a good point. So we get another 18 months of Siege Rhino plus Warden in the first tree, not knowing what's going to be in Origins, not knowing what's going to be in Blood, Sweat, and Tears, right?
Yeah.
Like we have no idea. So Warden of the First Tree, you know, one drop mythic that isn't, you know, quite as good as Figure of Destiny, but like it does stuff, right? I mean, it gives you a place to put your mana. It becomes a threat, um, and essentially takes the place of um,
It would take your place of a Fleece Main Lion after
Fleece Line.
Theros
Yeah,
left.
yeah, yeah. Because when Theros rotates out, you'll be losing Fleece Line. So why the heck not? Uh, you know, try to grab some Wardens of the First Tree. I don't disagree with that at all. Actually, I think it's pretty smart.
I just like it's one of those cards that I feel like with the right kind of deck and like I mean so say like they have to kill your Warden of the First Tree because it's
Yeah.
getting out of hand. That leaves like the room for your Siege Rhino, Wingmate Rock, or any other card you want to go through. Like I mean like if the guy is like on the board doing work, you're fine. If he's not, if they have to waste him, like if they just kill him,
Hmm.
that leaves room for your other stuff. So
And you got a card out of their hand, right?
yeah, but they got your guy, but I mean,
Sure.
he's also in late game. He's a man. He turns into a mana sink to where you can just
Right.
like throw all your stuff on him, and just like this guy's gonna win me the game if you can't kill him.
And the beautiful thing about those cards, the split cards or the cards that have hybrid mana in particular, is let's say the metagame shifts back to being predominantly two-colored decks, which like it won't happen anytime soon with fetch lands existing, like it just can't. But you know, if it swung closer to that, those cards like Warden are still totally fine. You can play them very effectively in two-color decks.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
so no, I think it's an interesting pick. I'll probably be trading into some. I know I've sold all the ones I've gotten off. But I don't think they're necessarily a bad pickup if you can trade out of stuff that you're not using into them, knowing that you'll be playing with them. So
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, that was good. That was pretty easy. Like it's so sell your stuff you're not using and trade into cards you want to play. I mean, you'll
That's magic.
you'll that's magic, man. You'll hear us say that time and time again, but we're gonna say it time and time again because if you're not listening, you better because I mean that's how you play Magic the Gathering. So, all right, man. Let's talk about Modern
Let's
at
do that.
the Pro Tour. So 2 weekends ago, what it was 410 or something like that of the best Magic players on the planet got together in beautiful downtown Washington D.C. I think they're actually outside of D.C. I think they were closer towards Alexandria, but um, they're hanging out in our nation's capital to sling some Magic the Gathering. So they're um, most as Pro Tours go now, they have the half of the matches are limited, or I should say the first three, and then the next are kind of round robin pair up rounds of some sort of constructed format, whether it be standard, um, whether it be some sort of like shared standard, normal standard, or modern. So at this Pro Tour, which is Pro Tour Fate Reforged, they drafted one pack of Fate Reforged, two packs of Cons, and duked it out, and then people battled with their modern decks. So we got to see a lot of shakeup in the modern format, man. With Treasure Cruise no longer being playable, or Treasure Cruise or Dig Through Time to power up Delver of Secrets, which is this nasty, turn one 3/2 flyer that would just do so much damage right off the bat. It was very difficult to deal with and very easy to turn that card on and keep it safe with a lot of the burn and counter spells that you could play in the blue-red decks in particular. Those decks were just very oppressive, and there were none of them at this Pro Tour because Treasure Cruise was so format warping and helped you get to so many of the pieces to keep your Delvers alive and to just burn your opponent out. There just isn't an option anymore. So the decks that we saw really shine were the ones that really could get kind of grindy, kind of win in the mid to late game by gaining a bunch of life, by playing threats, in the air, whether it be Lingering Souls, played and flashed back and just swinging for four in the air, or the Abzan decks that played Siege Rhinos on the ground that are just like impossible to beat. Tasigur, which is a 4/5 that's very easy to cast in the modern format and for like 1 or 2 mana, right? And they recurs amazing cards back from your graveyard. We also saw, the typical combo decks we talked about earlier with, Splinter Twin and Kiki Jiki essentially turning on infinite combos to just deal literally an infinite amount of damage to your opponent. And those were really the decks that we saw do exceedingly well. What other decks did you see?
To be honest, I saw decks that I knew I was gonna see. I mean, I didn't see Delver, or I didn't see any kind of deck that required Treasure Cruise or stuff like that. I mean, I knew Abzan was gonna be there. I knew Splinter Twin was gonna be there. Uh, the one surprise it was like Amulet Blue. I mean, to be honest, didn't even know the deck existed.
Yeah, so I follow like modern results pretty regularly for Magic Online, and Amulet Bloom, or Bloom Titan or whatever you want to call it, it's been around for a while. I mean, I remember the last Modern Pro Tour, Alexander Hayne and a bunch of the Canadian guys were on that deck, and they loved it, man. They were eating that deck up, and it played other cards like Obstinate Baloth to just get around like the like Lilianas and stuff like that, which wasn't as big of a deal this time. The version that we saw Justin Cohen play, and he actually made it all the way to the finals, was more of a kind of a puzzle box deck. So a deck that really was not at all interactive with his opponent, that was looking to, combo out, play a bunch of lands, play Spring Bloom, what's it called? Bloom Spring, Bloom something,
Uh,
Summer's Bloom.
Summer Bloom.
Unless you play 2 additional lands, so you can play these lands that they come into play untapped with an Amulet of Vigor, that normally come into play tapped, which tap for 2 lands and bounce lands back to your hand and do all sorts of crazy stuff. So you can build up a bunch of mana very quickly, and draw a bunch of cards, um, and then play a very early 6/6. Um, 6/6 Titan that would essentially attack and get you more lands. And then you draw into lands that pump up your guy and give him first strike, trample, double strike, all sorts of crazy stuff to just kill your opponent before they get a chance to cast anything. Um,
Yes, yeah, that was one of his win conditions. The other one was hive mind into either Summoner's Pact or Pact of Negation.
yeah, that's actually my favorite combo in that deck because you get enough mana to play very cheap Hive Mind, or I should say very early Hive Mind. So like turn 2 Hive Mind, which costs what 6 mana, and whenever you cast a spell, your opponents copy that spell. So it doesn't matter if you're out of mana when you cast Hive Mind. You just at the end of your turn cast some sort of pact for 0 mana. Your opponent then also casts that pact like for free basically, like a Summoner's Pact or something. So when it gets to their turn, pact, all the pacts say have a certain cost after you pay the 0 cost. At the beginning of your next upkeep, you have to pay a very specific cost or else you lose the game. So if your opponents can't cast a spell but can't pay the upkeep cost, they lose the game and you win. So it's a super cute combo. It's an interesting way to kill someone. And like I said, the Amulet Bloom deck can play that literally on turn 2 and kill their opponent. So
Yep, it's just like, because like say you play a Pact of Negation with Hive Mind, they'll be like, okay, I cast my Pact of Negation that your Hive Mind gives me and counter your Pact of Negation. You don't have to pay the 5 mana anymore, but they
mm-hmm.
do,
Yep.
and then they end up losing.
Yep. It's just super silly. But the one thing I'll caution, and Jeremy, you and I were talking about this before, is that is not a deck even close to a kind of deck that you can just like throw together and go to a tournament with.
No, like it's just like one of those decks you have to, if you're gonna play it, you're gonna play it for the rest of your time in Modern, in my opinion. It's like it's one of those decks that you just can't like pick up and learn in like 5 minutes and be like, oh yeah, I got this. I can play this deck completely. Like you're gonna be going to time, 24/7. I mean, like even Justin Cohen was like, there was like times where he was like, I mean, he wasn't slow rolling his opponent.
Right.
He was just actually just like the amount of thinking required for the deck.
Right.
Like he was just like he had to take that long. And just like if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to be sitting there like I have no idea what to do right now at
Right.
this point, and you're going to take 20 million years. You're going to go to time, or you're going to get stalling. Even though you're not stalling, you're just literally sitting there trying to figure out the deck that you decided to play.
Yep. I mean, and Justin's one of the best in the world, and he was getting judge warnings, like warnings from the highest level judges in the game, saying, "Hey, you need to pick up the pace of your game, or else, it's not fair to your opponent." He's like, he was playing. Obviously, you could watch the matches. You can go on YouTube and watch them, um, and he was playing as fast as he could. I mean, that's just the way the deck plays out. So you need to get, if you're gonna try that deck, you need to memorize all the different lanes, all the different combos, all the different win conditions, or else you're never going to finish a game of Magic. And B, like just like Jeremy said, that's going to be the deck that you play with forever, and it's just how it is. So the other shout out that I want to give is shout out to Paul Cheon, right, of Team Channel Fireball, like and a lot of those guys who kind of shifted their testing groups around, um, and brought some new people on, tested with face-to-face games, and did a lot of really cool community interaction. Talked a lot about their play testing together. Gave a lot of really cool open information, a lot of education around how they do their draft picks and getting together. But Paul making the Pro Tour was super cool because he wasn't going to make it. He's a guy who's been huge in the community forever. Used to make videos on his own. Has made a bunch of videos. He's one of the founding members of Channel Fireball. He wanted to get back on the Pro Tour, and he wasn't going to be able to. And then LSV, who is also kind of a paragon of the Magic community, Paul is like his best buddy, and he said, "Hey, Paul, I want to make sure you get on the Pro Tour so we have fun together." He gets in a team limited a team with Paul and Eric Froelich, who is a pro poker player. You can watch him on Late Night Poker, but he's also one of the winningest Magic players of all time. They made a team. They went to San Jose and played in the team GP, and they won. And that qualified Paul for the Pro Tour. And he had a very, very good showing. Made it to the very late rounds of day 2. Just missed the top 8 by a couple slots. So I just want to give a shout out to him because that was cool to watch. That's a really cool story. and hopefully we see more from him. You can actually follow him on Twitch. He streams all the time now because Magic's again his full-time thing, and he's twitch.tv/humph, so HAUMPH. And I highly recommend going and watching Paul. He's a great guy to learn from, and I just thought that story was super, super, super cool. And who won? This guy Antonio del Moral Leon, the first Spanish national to ever win a Magic Pro Tour.
Yep. I mean, he was playing Splinter Twin.
Right, so he gets there all the way against some like Hall of Famers that he beat through all the way to get to the top 8. Resolves wins some easy games against Justin Cohen because it resolves a Blood Moon and turns all of Justin's these non-basics he's trying to make infinite mana off of into mountains, and Justin essentially just scoops up from there because he can't play anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, congrats to Antonio Del Moraleone. He played a bunch of good Magic, couldn't have gotten there otherwise. So.
Nope. Congrats to him, but like I said, Splinter Twin winning is like the equivalent of the Patriots winning the Super Bowl. Nobody wins.
Right, and
unless you're New England.
Yeah, and to not watch a U.S. national win is kind of sad. But Justin gave it his all, so good job, buddy. All right, man. What deck are you playing in Modern right now? By the way, before we move on.
I have like a Jeskai Delver deck, but like I said, there's one keyword in that deck that just makes it crap now. And that's Delver.
Yeah.
It's all Delver decks died.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. I think I need to add a little bit more to the mana base, and maybe it'll work out because I feel like I don't get enough mana all the time.
Sure.
But a deck that I want to go play now is Zoo with Domri, just because he's one of those cards I had a fun time with when he was in Standard, and I'm like, if I can bring him into Modern, and he's obviously been in Modern, and I believe he's good in Modern, and in the right deck, just all these good Modern cards that you can just flip up with Domri, put it in your hand. It's like he gives card advantage to a Naya deck that would not have it.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, people have played Domri before, but he does get significantly better in a format where you can flip up actual ridiculous mythic creatures, right? I mean,
yeah, you got Wild Noctowl in that deck, Quasal, Pride Mage.
That's pretty
hopefully
good.
I said that word right.
Kasali, yeah.
Kasali, okay. You can even put Gorklan Rampager in there.
Sure.
Throw in some Become Immenses because you're discarding Gorklan Rampager.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems like a fun deck. If I can get it to work, I will. I
think Rampagers. I feel like Rampager's super susceptible to an Abrupt Decay blowout though, because all the creatures that all the creatures you want to play it on. Yeah, but you do it, and in response, they just Abrupt Decay. You're taking a 2-for-1.
You're talking about the creature that you Rampage dies.
Yeah, I don't think you. I think you rarely play him as a 4/4 because you get to Blood Rush, which can't be countered, which is super good.
So that's what he's in there for. He's in there for the Blood Rush.
That's what I'm saying though. But then that's super susceptible to an Abrupt Decay because every single creature is 3 mana.
But everything's obviously susceptible to Abrupt Decay. Sooner or later, you're just gonna have to try something, and if it happens, it happens. It's just one of those things of Magic. You can't play around a card forever.
Yeah, I guess. Seems good. You're right. If you're applying so much pressure and applying so many little dudes to the board, honestly, who cares which one they blow you out with? Because you're still attacking with 5
you can force him to Abrupt Decay something, and then you're like, okay, you Abrupt Decay that guy, I'll go Rampager this other guy.
Right. And it's super cheap. That's 4 mana. It's nothing.
It's 2 mana to do it.
Right, but if you do it twice and you bait out an Abrupt Decay, then it's 4 mana for the turn.
I'm just saying, if you're applying so much pressure that you don't even have to Rampager to get the Abrupt Decay out of their hands.
Sure.
They're just I'm dying to this 3/3 Wild Noctowl. Say you have 2 of them out, they're just bringing them at them, and they're just I have to kill one of them, and they're like, okay, you kill that one.
That is
Rampager this other one takes 7.
Pretty good.
So they're actually taking one more damage than what they should be.
Nice. Yeah, I think that deck's really cool, actually. I think it'd be interesting
I
to
mean, like
play
I
it.
said, if I can get it to work, I can get it to work. If it, I would like to. I mean, it seems like it's like right up my alley. Naya's probably my favorite colors beside Grixis. So
Nice. I'm still on that affinity train, man. I love it. I like it. I saw Frank Karsten's, trying to mess around with some of the actual affinity cards, which is like okay. I don't like it as much. I don't think that version has as much flexibility as just playing spells. Um, but it's cool, and I like the deck the way it's built now. I, it's so interesting because it's actually more dangerous to play it now than it used to be. um, or excuse me, than it was to play that deck when Delver was like a boogeyman and Treasure Cruise was a boogeyman, because people were then saving slots in their sideboard just to deal with Delver and Treasure Cruise, and you were like, oh sweet, people finally took out all their sideboard cards that beat Affinity, like Stony Silence and Shatterstorms and Shattering Sprees and stuff like that. They were, taking out those slots in favor of like Rest in Peace and random crap that Affinity doesn't care about. And in that meta, Affinity was actually pretty well paired against everything except for Blue-Red Delver. And even then, the matchup was okay. But
yeah,
now that people are back to their old ways, to keep Affinity, out, it's still the tier one, the tier one aggro deck, no question. But the way to keep it in check is to have a very transformative, very powerful kind of hosing sideboard, and I think people are moving back to that, and that's not fun.
yeah. I
But
mean, like it you didn't really see any affinity. At least I didn't see any affinity at the Pro Tour.
right, I mean Frank was on it. He did okay. He made it day two. Made it like through day two. He just got in
Yeah,
like top 30 or something. But
I mean, I'm glad some affinity made it. I mean, I would feel bad if it didn't.
yeah,
I don't
I
even know. I don't even know how Delver did.
right,
That's how bad that is.
right. No, I like it. I like it. The other deck that came out that I forgot that we didn't talk about that I actually like a lot is the Infect deck, which is essentially like a Boggles deck, but not.
I mean, like Tom Ross was there. Obviously, he could play one deck only. So
Right. I
it
thought
was
it was
just
cool. I
like,
mean, he turned John Finkel onto it, and Finkel
I
will
mean,
play it.
yeah, like Tom Ross was like, oh, it's not standard. Infect it is. Let's
Yeah,
do
dude.
it. And I'm just like,
Oh yeah,
modern Infect's good. I mean, like,
it is good. I like it a lot.
yeah, I mean, like, it may not be as potent as Legacy Infect, but
Right.
there's just as good cards to make it a deck in Modern than
Right.
as it is in Legacy.
Yeah, I think the deck is awesome. I think the deck is super cool. I think it's stronger than Boggles because Boggles is super draw dependent, whereas all you have to do in Infect is dodge enough of their removal, and you just kill them. So
And I mean, you also have Vines of the Vastwood paired up with your stuff,
yeah. Oh
so it's
yeah.
just like it works.
I love it. I thought the deck was super cool. I don't think we missed any decks. I think it's about it. Like I said, we
I
talked about a
mean,
little bit about the
there may
Abzan
have been like some
mid-range.
of the. I guess you could say like Patrick Chapin's like, I'm here to play Gurmag Anglers.
Ugh, no, no
I'm just
thank you.
like Patrick, what are you doing?
Come on, Pat. He's trying to
I don't
innovate,
know.
man. He's the innovator.
He innovated a piece of turd. That's what he did.
Yeah, he did. No question. All
But
right,
I mean,
Jeremy.
I applaud him for being like creative.
Yeah, that's his
But
job. I mean, he gets to go to free Pro Tours for the rest of his life because he's in the Hall of Fame. So,
well, yeah, I mean, like, but when you sculpt a piece of turd, it's still a piece of turd.
yeah, no question. All right, enough about that darn Pro Tour that we missed by 2 weeks. So, uh, that was cool. Like I said, it was fun to watch. Congrats to Antonio. I'm gonna be very excited for the next one to see. Once we have once we have a core set and then 2 full blocks. It'll be the last time ever that happens. By the way, will be Pro Tour Dragons of Tarkir. Oh no, I guess Pro Tour Origins will have 2 core sets and 2 complete blocks. So
Yep.
that'll be the biggest. But the second biggest of all time, from here on out, will be Dragons, and then Origins will be the biggest. So we're looking forward to those, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see how people innovate and what happens.
I'm glad it would be. I'm glad it'll be standard again. I mean, like you had
Me
a whole
too.
bunch of people whine about like, oh, I don't want to see people drop siege rhinos, but then you go to modern and
It's exactly
what
the
do you
same.
see people dropping?
Yeah.
Siege rhinos.
Yep.
Like that was a really big change right there.
It's just modern now, man. Okay, so let's
Good
let's
cards
move
are
on
good.
to let's move on to the standard metagame, man. This is your wheelhouse. So
All
what are
right.
what are we seeing? Like, I mean, we haven't seen. There's been some like 5Ks. There's been like some regional stuff. What what's hot right now? Like, I mean, is Abzan the best
So,
deck or what?
um, I don't, I don't feel like Abzan. I mean, yeah, Abzan's always Abzan. So
Yeah.
either like Abzan aggro, Abzan mid range, still one of the best decks in standard at these moments, just because
Yeah.
of the of the power of the decks. You know, just like Siege Rhino, Onofenza, or Wingmate Rock.
Tasser.
Tassiger has made his way into mid-range decks, not into aggro, but it's just like Soren. There's so many powerful cards like in those decks, like to where they cannot be good. Like they are always going to be good as long as those cards exist. But the surge that has happened, that is, in my opinion, risen above Abzan, is red white aggro, because I went to one of the Star City regionals. I went to the one in Columbus.
Yeah.
I was 4-1. I was on a roll, feeling good through the day. Got my second loss, and then after that, I just like downhill plummeted
Was it
into
like a
four.
mental thing, or did you draw
I
bad,
mean,
or
I
what?
I made one. I feel like I made one misplay in the match where I got my second loss,
Yeah.
and I've lost, so I ended up losing that match and going. I mean, dropping to 4-2.
Yeah.
So it could have been, yeah. But at the same time, it could. I mean, like variance is also a thing. I'm not gonna blame it solely on variance. I probably got into my own head a little bit, and I'm just like, man, we're 4-2. If we lose one more, we're done here. Like
Yeah.
that kind of sucks. I don't want to be this. I don't want to be like that. But yeah, I was on Timmer aggro for the day. I mean, like any day I get to drop a Savage Knuckle Blade and swing with it. I mean, like that's cool with me.
That
But
is fun.
like the thing about that tournament is why I brought it up is like after I got to see after the top 8 came out on the Star City Games website, I noticed that 50% of the top 8 was red white aggro, and I was like, wow. I mean, like if that's not telling you something right there, I mean, like it's literally pointing at like, hey, this is like the new deck.
Yeah.
It mean I could mean that could be just like a one place thing, but at the same time, if you like watching Star City Games opens like day 2, you'll look at like what deck is number one, what deck is there the most day 2.
Yeah.
It's always been red white. Like ever since the whole 2-day thing has started, it's
Sure.
always been red white aggro. So I mean, like obviously Abzan is like right below it. So I mean, like you got like 50% red white aggro. You got like I wouldn't say 50% Abzan, just because like there's obviously Abzan decks out there, but you also have to give some wiggle room to the other decks like Blue Black Control. What won the last open was Red Green Devotion, coming off your Nykthos call because it's running that obviously.
Yeah.
Um, but like, and then you have all these like other kind of decks that the people are wanting to play, like, or just like the other decks that are good, but they're just not like that good to actually like get you all the way there. So like, yeah. So I'm just like red white. I mean, I had a like for game day. I was debating on playing Timur aggro or red white aggro,
Hmm.
and I kind of just like at the last second I made a call, and I was like, you know what, we'll go with red white aggro. I'm going all. I mean, like it was only 4 rounds Swiss, and I'm feeling good going into the finals, trying to get me a playmat.
That playmat is
Uh,
sweet too, by the way. So the game day was last weekend.
yeah,
Yeah.
sorry I coughed.
No, you're good.
Um,
And so for all the people who played, yeah, you were playing essentially in your shop for this sweet playmat that had everybody's favorite
Ugin
Ugin.
had the alternate art Ugin on it. I mean, obviously the card Ugin, that the alternate art one, it was that was the playmat. Yeah, you got what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm in the finals, going up against a friend. Both of us are playing red white aggro, which I mean it's funny because this friend is always known for playing blue black control, and I'm just like this is weird. You're not playing your regular deck. I'm not playing my regular deck. We both just made meta calls, and we're just like, you know what, we're gonna do this.
Yeah.
Um, so I lost 2-0. I mean, like, stuff happens. Like there was the one significant thing that between us that was different was my deck had 4 Monastery Mentors. His deck had 4 Stormbreath Dragons.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder for me to answer a Stormbreath Dragon than it is for him to answer a Monastery Mentor.
Yeah.
Just because I have to have 1 card and 1 card alone, and that's Stoke the Flames for his. And for my Monastery Mentor, he can have Chain the Rocks. If it gets big enough, he can have Valor Stance. He can have Wild Slash, Lightning Strike, his own Stoke the Flames. I mean,
Right.
like, there's so many answers to that. I mean, so like it's just like it's one of those things. Like I ended up after that, I ended up putting in my dragons. I'm just like, this needs to happen. Obviously, we talked about it for a little bit, and we were just like, mentors are like a sideboard card for the deck, just because like one of those games where it's going to be grindy, and if you can get your mentor out and just kind of like keep it
Just
alive,
get around them. Yeah.
yeah, and you're just like you just bulk it up, bulk out your like go wide, have a bunch of tokens with prowess, have a mentor, you know. Another card from that deck that kind of gives it the edge over some of the other decks is Outpost Siege. Just the, I mean,
Yeah.
just the sheer like having the ability of a Chandra on the enchantment, the Chandra 0 on the enchantment, is just like it puts the deck over the top because like you're giving card draw to a deck that's not supposed to have card draw.
Yeah. I know we talked about it a lot in our last podcast because I was confused by it. Like, I didn't know why you would play something like that in your deck until you kind of explained it to me.
Yeah,
And
I
it
mean
made
like
a lot of sense.
red white is not, a red white deck is not supposed to have card draw.
Right.
This deck gives it like the extra edge it needs. Like I'm getting 2 cards a turn and you're over there in like top deck mode. Now I can just like I mean obviously you have to either cast a card or let it go to exile, but with that deck you're just drawing gas the entire time.
Yeah.
So most of the time you're just gonna cast that card. Like I'll flip Stormbright Dragon, sure, cast it, swing. Like or Rabblemaster, cast it, bring in the 1/1 Goblin or Stoke the Flames, Lightning Strike, any
Right.
other live card in that deck because most of the time everything is live.
Right.
So it's just like it's a good card to have. Obviously you can have Chandra in there as well, which I have both in mine. Like why not get the Planeswalker out of it as well?
Right.
Like she'll get your guys through. She also can 0. And
Gets
then you have
around
the ability,
board wipes.
yeah, and then she also has the ability to ultimate and go find a Stoke the Flames to hit them for 12 in the face. So, I mean, there's always that option, which is always nice.
Yeah. I mean, I
Um,
got a chance to mess around with a deck just last night. You know, we were playing some standard. And it was cool.
yeah,
Um,
there's some things I saw you do that I may have done different. I mean, obviously, when I looked at one of your hands and I saw chain to the rocks in your hand, and you're going against blue black control, and it's game 2, and I just look at you and I'm like,
I know, and I knew it too.
I mean, obviously, I wasn't trying to like do like hey like trying to give you like game information when I'm not supposed to.
Right.
But I mean, it's also like it was just like a Tuesday night Magic thing, so it wasn't like serious. It's like an F&M like
Right.
where you're just all there to have fun and play. And I just look at you and I'm like, did you sideboard? And you're like, yeah, man. And then you look at your hand and it's like, oh my god, why is this? But
it's so
actually,
funny because during
it
that,
actually turned out to be useful for you because
Yeah.
he had was it Merc Lurker?
yeah, the thing to get any life back and beat my burn strategy. But I knew in the first game, like I knew he hadn't really played any threats except for like one Pearl Lake Ancient, which I had enough damage to just race around anyways. But so I was gonna take him out. Like I told myself, like these Chain of the Rocks are so bad and so dead, and I was just so interested in playing the next game because our games are getting, excuse me, kind of long, kind of grindy, that I just want to go ahead and play. And I was like, oh my god, dude, I had the 2 Chain of Rocks in my hands, or essentially 2 dead cards, and I got really lucky that he played Merclurker, you know, at all. But yeah, that was just super silly. The other thing is, you know, don't underestimate the second mode on Outpost Siege. Like I after you explained it to me, I kind of understood why the first mode was so good, but there were instances where I would draw like multiple Outpost Sieges just because that just is what happened, and my hand would be full of like Hordling Outbursts, which is the card that makes 3 goblins for 3 mana. I also had like Raise the Alarms and stuff like that, and a Monastery Mentor if I brought in from the board, and I have all these tokens that literally can't attack profitably but can die profitably if you choose the Dragon's mode of Outpost Siege, which says whenever a creature you under your control leaves the battlefield in any way, deal 1 damage to target creature or player. So
Yeah.
like, so these Hordling Outbursts were essentially becoming like lightning bolts or whatever is 3 damage for 3 mana. I don't know, but like, and it was every time I did that, it was always enough to then just draw into the rest of my burn and kill my opponent, and it was super powerful. I was like, you know, I'm glad I
Yeah,
had
I mean,
this
like,
card.
depending on how your board state is when you have it,
Yeah.
like, if you have an ass set of tokens out, you're obviously like, okay, I'll choose dragons for this. Every time my guy dies,
Yeah.
I'll just ping you for one.
I mean, and
And most
it
and like
turned Howling Outburst or Hordling Outburst into like 6 damage after blocks. Like
yeah,
right,
like
like
so
I
like
would
after
block a
the
thing with 3 toughness and then ping another thing with 3 toughness and get a 2-for-1 out of a Hordling Outburst. It was insane.
yeah, and I mean also I mean unless they have Bile Blight and you're playing like against a control deck, which the dragons mode is actually really relevant then.
Yeah.
Um, like they'll take 3 from the outburst and then like say they finally can't answer the outburst, they're just taking another 3 when
Uh-huh.
when they didn't have to because like they killed the outburst because they needed to.
Yeah.
So there's always that option as well. But in my opinion, I feel like the first like if your hand size is getting low and like one of like the last like couple of cards in your hand is the outpost siege, you're probably gonna want to do cons so you can start
Yeah.
getting the extra
I think
card
every time,
advantage.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean like yeah, every time you're probably I mean like there's those few times like if they're at a low amount of life and you have dudes on the board and like their only out is like to blow up your board and you're just like okay I'll
Right.
play
You just seal the deal.
dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just play dragons and it's like your board wipe is completely useless now because either way you're going to lose this game.
Yep.
So I mean it's just like there's a way to lock somebody out of a game with that.
Yeah.
But most of the time you're just going to want to do cons to get that extra card off the top.
Right.
Um, let's see, what other decks are there? I mean, like, okay, this is just completely what I've been doing. I've just been playing this for like the last couple of tournaments just for fun. I built a Black-White Warriors deck.
Heck yeah,
I,
you did.
for some god-awful reason I did. And, I mean, like, it's just one of those times where I'm just like, hey, I have a deck that I can play for any kind of major event or any kind of event where like an FNM, like on Friday, I'll play red white, obviously, because I want to get disdainful strokes. I want that
Right.
card. But like say like there's some other local shops that we have that well I mean, yeah, that I'll go to and like I'll just play like I played the Black White Warriors decks because like I mean like I just want to go there and like if I can attack you with multiple Bloodsoaked champions or dash in a Mardu Strike Leader, like why not? Who cares? I want to do that. Like it was fun. Like I went 2-1 last night. Sadly, my only loss came from I forgetting to sign up. So, like, I mean,
The
hey, if I
worst.
go to, I mean, it's not a great deck, obviously, but it's one of those decks that, like, if you just want to, like, play Magic and have fun.
Yeah, and I think that totally fits with the theme of this podcast even, right? Like we're telling you, you know, essentially the information here we've given you today is like what to do in the limited format to get better and to win but to have fun. What decks to play in standard, what decks to be looking out for, but the ones you can build just to have fun. And the fact that you just brewed up like a sweet deck to have fun and still did well because you know enough about the game to just do well, like that's the whole point of Team Better Magic, right? I mean, that's the whole point
Yeah.
of this podcast. So,
It's just like, I mean, if you have the deck that you want to play in, like, major events, good on you. Stick with
yeah,
that deck. I mean, but I mean, also like you don't like I mean, if you are the type of person who just wants to continuously play the same deck over and over again, go for it. If you're one of those people that like after you have your meta deck, like if you want to build like some fun derpy deck or just some brew that you've been wanting to try out and play, go for it. And
yeah,
if like the major events that you go to, play your major deck. Like it's just one of those things like that you're just like I want to have fun. And I want to have fun sometimes. I don't want to be serious all the time. But I mean like
right.
when you're playing Magic, you're always having fun unless like you're just getting super tilted all the time. I mean like don't let that
Yeah,
happen.
that's a
Like
separate issue. Yeah,
yeah, just don't just try not to get tilted because like if you get tilted then sometimes bad decisions are made, and
Very bad decisions. And you'll have
I,
less fun, and you'll win less, and it'll cost you more money to play Magic. So,
yeah, and then you're just like, oh man, this deck's crap.
yeah.
But when the deck's not if the deck's not really crap though, you're thinking that it's crap because like you're just so mad, and like it's just have fun. That's the main thing.
I mean, and the cool thing is if you listen to us and you listen to some of the other podcasts, like, you'll be playing enough at high enough level that you'll be winning more. You'll be selling your cards when you can make money on them. You'll be making money on cards that might go up. Um, Making it more affordable for you to not only build and play with a really powerful deck, but hopefully you've got enough resources and the time and, and the winnings to build just fun decks too and just enjoy yourself. So,
Yeah, I mean like on top of the Black White Warriors deck, I've also just been like, hey, why not try and bring back Mono Black Devotion? Now you're probably going like, how are you gonna do that? Like Pack Rat's gone, Desecration Demon's gone. Like, dude, what are you talking about? I'm just like, hey, you know what? Let me have my brew. You know, like if I turn one Thoughtseize you into a turn two Brain Maggot, you just lost two cards
that's
on
pretty
top
good.
of the lands that you just played.
That's pretty good.
So I mean, like I think that I can make it work. Like Palace Sieges, like Grey Merchant of Asphodels. I haven't figured out what demon I want to throw in there yet. Like
But it's got to have
obviously,
one. Got to have at least
obviously,
one demon.
obviously, Desecration Demon was like a really good card. Like to where
Yeah.
the point where like he was almost format defining because you're just like this card sucks. I don't want to play against it
Yeah.
ever again. But like it's just like I mean like why not? Like it's just one of those. It's one of those decks like if like hey if I can make it work, sure, let's play it. If I can't, you know, like, okay, back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
It's just like, why not? I mean, I know multiple people who do that. Like, there's a friend who plays like a soul tie aggro. Those two words do not go together.
Right.
But he has a deck like it, and it seems like a fun deck to play. Like Warden of the First Tree, Death Dealer, Tassiger, like, and then it's like he has like counter spells, Thoughtseize, and stuff like to just back up his guys.
Yeah.
And it's just like it seemed like a fun deck, you know. So I mean, just like if you want to brew, and just have fun. And if you obviously want to be serious, build a meta deck, go out there and win your games. But at the same time, if you also want to have fun, build a derpy deck. Play it on days that aren't serious, or
Right.
I mean, like unless you just really want to like cash out value every single day, then
Right.
play your serious deck. But if you don't really care, spend like maybe like $4 to play in a tournament, like and maybe still win with your derpy deck. Like
Hmm.
why not? Go for it.
So is that the lesson of today, Jeremy? Can we say if you've learned anything from being from listening to a Better Magic podcast, it's that at the end of the day, this game's all about having fun.
Yeah, it's literally all it is.
Awesome.
Like I mean, obviously you'll get mad sometimes, and that's reasonable. Like sometimes variance just kicks you down,
Yeah, man.
and you're just like, man, I'm done with
It
this. Like
happens to everyone. It happens to the
happens
best.
happens to the best of everybody.
Yeah.
So it's just like, don't take it to heart. Literally turn around, go out there and play some more. Just like what you're gonna learn from this. Have fun.
Have fun. You heard the man. So all of you listening out there, we're gonna wrap up here. But thank you so much for listening. We'll love bringing you all the information about limited and what's going on in standard. And we hope you get a little bit better by listening to us. And we hope by listening to us, you make your game a little bit more affordable. But at the end of the day, it's all about you having fun, and that's what we're all about. So until next time, don't forget to play better magic. Thank you.